What's up, nerds? It's your boy, the OGGM, coming to you live, 8:22 in the morning on this, the 7th day of September in the year of our Lord Steve the Cat. It's about 74 degrees and hazy here at Site B. And according to my calendar, it's Thursday. And on Thursday, we do a lot of things. Mainly, lately, we take a look at what's going on with our friends at Critical Role and the very anticipated Dagger to the Heart. That's right. It's time for Thursday's Dagger Heart Beats. Get it? Dagger Heart Beats. See what I did there? Because it's a play on words. I didn't come up with that. One of my YouTube members came up with it. I don't remember which one of you it was, but thank you very much for the idea for Dagger Heart Beats. Let's see what's going on in the world of Critical Role / Darrington Press. Okay, so we heard last week that our Critical Role friends showed up at the strike lines. And some people are like, oh, they're going to go on strike and we're not going to get to see anything. Nope. That is incorrect. They did not go on strike. They just showed up to support the guys for a couple hours. A couple of them showed up over at Burbank Studios in Burbank, California, right near my old stomping grounds. Not my favorite studio, though, in the Valley. But Burbank Studios is pretty good. And it's near Disney. So Disney Studios, not Disneyland. So yeah, they showed up. They're like, oh yeah, Critical Role supports you guys. You guys are doing so much work. We love you guys. We're going to go back and film more of our multi-million-dollar product that we don't have to stop because we don't have to go on strike, but we support you guys. And they're all like, yay, Critical Role is here. But you know what they're really thinking is like, hey, how about giving us some of that money you're making that we're not making? Yeah, well, all right. That said, let's check some numbers. Critical Role Twitch this week had only, looks like two productions. We got Candle Obscura Chapter 2, Episode 1, 7 days ago with 155K views. And then we had Four-Sided Dive, Episode 16, where they get some of the players to discuss the game. This took the place of Talking Crit. And this had 77.1K views on Twitter. Let's check those YouTube numbers. Mitts Season 2, Episode 2 had 25K views. Candle Obscura Episode 1, Season 2 had 158K view. Mitts Season 2, Episode 3 had 12K view. Wow, 12K view. And Four-Sided Dive Episode 16 had 100K views. So, yeah. And the last Critical Role post was 9 days ago with 504K views. So it looks like no interest in Mitts, more interest in Candle Obscura than there was in Kiss and Tell. So, yeah. And only 57K views when they did the thing talking about Queen of Midnight. So it doesn't really look like there's an interest in that either. But people still want Critical Role Campaign 3 with a 504K views. That's the highest we've had in a while. All right. What's going on with Dagger Heart? Let us head on over to the official Dagger Heart website. As far as I know, I am the first person to discover this site and the first person to talk about it. So, yeah, let's take a look at it, except it won't come up. There it is. Okay, anything changed in this since last time? We still don't know anything about it. It still just says website by Dane. Still has the same layout. 1, 2, 3, 4. Got a thing that says see more news now. But there's just links to other people talking about it. The most recent one, yeah, these are all the articles that came out a while back in the beginning of, I think, in fact, I even think is this the one I did? That'd be funny if it was the one I did. It was me. Oh my God. That's me. I'm famous. How awesome is that? There's a link to the one I did. I never thought I would be linked to that, but okay. Other than that, nothing new on this site. The rules, still what we saw before. If you want to check this out, the link is in the description. This is everything we know printed-wise about Dagger Heart so far, based upon whatever this guy found. We still don't know who Dane is or where Dane got this information, but it is the closest we have to semi-official printings on what's going on with Dagger Heart. Now let we head on over to Darrington Press with their products, Candle Obscura. Site has not been updated in 3 months now. And Dagger Heart has not been updated in 3 months. And still no illuminated world. Should we contact them yet again? Of course we should. So we're just going to go out over here to the contact thing and go retailer support Darrington Press, enter my name and email, and answer the same question we've asked for the past 4 weeks that they still have not answered. What, if anything, is the plans for the illuminated world core rules? Think they'll answer? I'm going to say no, because they haven't answered any of our previous times we've connected with them. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I'm trying to be neutral on this. Okay, so we have a Q&A with Spencer that went live, I think, 2 days ago. This was on character sheet on comicbook.com. So it's CBR, which means take anything these guys ask or say with a grain of salt. Spencer is a very difficult dude to interview. He is all over the place, or he was heavily caffeinated. So the thing ran about an hour, which is a good time. We have at zero, who Spencer is, what he's done, what are his, his resume. Okay, we got Dagger Heart is a work in progress. Will there be a public playtest for Dagger Heart? Not yet. Okay, let me get the first thing. How the initiative works. This is confusing. He tries to explain it.
And this is one that Christian, you'll have some insight on as well, is a couple people wanted some clarification on how initiative and turn order worked, because it was a little, I think even in our video, we kind of.
So basically, initiative is pretty much copied and pasted from Iron Sworn / Blades in the Dark / Powered by the Apocalypse, which is the players initiate everything. Spencer describes initiative in D&D kind of like a mini game. He equates it to Pokemon. In Pokemon, you're running around, you're exploring, you're talking to people, you're interacting with the world. You see another Pokemon or a Pokemon master, and then you go to that little cutscene where suddenly it's just two Pokemon bonking each other over the head. The combat ends, and then you go back to the interactive world. And yeah, I never thought of it before, but an initiative in a role-playing game kind of is a mini game, right? I mean, it's like a whole separate game. When things break down into combat, it's basically just dice rolling and deciding what you're going to do next turn. And it can be a very jarring from the interactive story. And also it can get pretty boring pretty fast, the initiative slog. So initiative for the bad guys is all based upon players' dice rolls. Because as we know, in Dagger Heart, there is the hope and fear mechanic involved in the 2d12 rolls. And every time a player rolls a hope with complications or a fear, that is when the bad guys get to react. And the bad guys have different moves that they can use when they react. And that move can be to strike back at you, to cause something else to happen, to move where they're standing. So basically, it has moves because Powered by the Apocalypse is already obviously Spencer's blood and guts, and it only reacts to if the players mess up, which means, the percentage of this happening is low, but it could happen if it's, let's say it's a 2-on-1 fight, two guys fighting one bad guy. And the only way the bad guy gets to do anything is if the players hit one of those rolls where either that's a positive roll with complications or a negative roll with complications. So if none of the good guys ever roll a complications or a fear, that means technically the bad guy never gets a chance to do anything. Now, I'm probably wrong, but that's the way it sounds. And unfortunately, Spencer Buddy is obviously heavily caffeinated in this.
Kind of skipped over that part somehow. And in other videos, it's been a little bit vague too.
So, and correct me if I'm wrong, part of the reason why I skipped in our initial video was my understanding of it was, there wasn't like a very fixed initiative, like, a turn order, and that it was really fascinating, and it made a lot of sense to me. Like sitting
kind of combat in my home games is that
so
when we jump into initiative,
Spencer obviously had a few caffeines. All right, how to use a 2D12 system? How much do modifiers matter? Range, experience versus skills, GM turn order, combat moves. How does combat work? How to spotlight players? How multi-classing works? Will cards come with the book?
That is the plan currently for those cards, domain, foundation, etc., to be included in the rule book? And would future expansions also just come with future new cards? Like, basically, they're just wondering if cards will be a separate purchase or not for them.
Cards are built into the system. What I'll also say is that cards are not like everything that's on the cards is going to be in the book. We aren't going to say you have to just if you lose the card, you're out of luck, right?
Yeah.
Like everything is going to be in the book. There's going to be everything available to you to be able to do whatever you want in that respect. If you're somebody who doesn't want to use the cards, you can literally just get a blank character sheet and write everything into the character sheet. We're not here to stop you from doing that. The cards are just a way to be able to create fast.
And just in case you lose them, don't worry, you'll be able to buy additional cards. And good news for all you Etsy creators who get their money by making Critical Role adjacent Etsy product. You can obviously now start making specially designed cards and selling them on Etsy that are specific to character classes or whatever. So good luck with that, guys. Let's hope they keep the cards. I mean, and we're very grateful to know that as of this point, the card mechanic is still in the book. So you don't need the cards. You can just write it down like we've been doing it for 50 years. The cards are just a quick, easy way to do the same thing that we've been doing for 50 years and for you to Critical Role to make a few extra shekels. But from a merchandising point of view, especially for the Critical Role Etsy-based fan base, which I'm sure is a word, that's brilliant because all you Etsy creators can now make Critical Role exclusive card sets for Dagger Heart. Yeah, I like that. Does Dagger Heart have its own setting?
Sure.
Is there going? I'll throw in one more after this.
Okay.
Is there a default world for Dagger Heart, like how Forgotten Realms isn't for 5e or Galarian is for Pathfinder?
Or Tal'Dorei
So
is for
still in development. What I can say
Notice he
is that
never
the ethos
answers this question.
of the game is to say, and Christian, you sort of experienced this. The ethos is to say, hey, at the table, we're going to play collaboratively. Now, what level of collaboration that means is totally up to you as a GM. If you want to prep adventures in Forgotten Realms and play there, if you want to, bring over a campaign you've been playing already in Forgotten Realms, you can do that. If you want to play in a different world that you've homebrewed, you can absolutely do that. There's nothing stopping you from doing that.
He never mentions Tal'Dorei.
Built into the game, there will be an example. I'll back up. There will be a way to be able to collaboratively build a map of some kind, right? So one of the ways currently, the way we're playtesting it is there's a blank map and it has a bunch of names at the bottom of places and some options for names of regions, and we pass that map around at the table during character creation. Everybody fills in on the map.
Yeah. He doesn't mention Tal'Dorei or Exandria at all. Yeah, he manages to avoid that one very well, considering how caffeinated Spencer is in this. Well played, Spencer. And so, what races, ancestries will theirs be? We don't care yet. How exactly stress works, sharing domain. Yeah. Why should we play Dagger Heart?
It's so nice. There's so much about the system that I think doesn't come into clarity until you just sit down and play it. right? Like, I think there's a lot of speculation around like, how do these systems work, and how's the 2D12, the hope and fear feels like it is punishing, or what, all these things. And like, what I'll say is, we're playtesting it all the time. We want it to feel good. We want it to we want it to flow well. Our whole job is to make a game that people love, and we're gonna be playtesting for a very long time to do that. And so like, I think a lot of this will come down to like, you get it at your table, you play it. Does it work for you? Is it the style of game that you want to play? And if it isn't, that's okay. There's so many cool games for people to play, and our game specifically is like cinematic story focused, right? Supposed to feel like it is collaborative. Supposed to feel like it's,
again, no mention of Teldori, no mention of Critical Role, no mention of Exandria. Well played. But I do like the fact that throughout the whole thing, Spencer is not only plugging Dagger Heart, he's plugging other games. He's saying, hey, if you don't like our game, there are other games. All I want to do is get people to the table. So take everything else away from Spencer. You can, give him a tip of the hat for thank you, Spencer, for trying to ingrain into the brain of the 5e critter J. Scott Garrity idiots that there are other systems out there to embrace and explore. And Dagger Heart may never be the D&D killer, but it might be the good other game to try out. On the surface, it's very simple mechanics. It's got a lot of gimmicks in it, because gimmicks are what people think players want right now. And it's, merchandising options for the gimmicks. They're still playtesting, i.e., they're still waiting to see what, let's face it, they're waiting to see what happens in 2024. All right. So yeah, guys, in case you didn't know this, the Critical Role / D&D contract is over. It's done. There is no current connection between the two companies. The contract they had with D&D Beyond, done. It's up to them whether they take a new contract with them or not. The contract they had with Wizards of the Coast, they filled that. The NDA, done. The Do Not Compete ends on January 1st. Critical Role, Darrington Press is free to do whatever they want with whatever title they want, including D&D, as of January 1st. Okay? As is pretty much a lot of other things. 2024 is a magic number in the worlds of NDAs and Do Not Competes and copyrights and trademarks, because that's just the way things played out. And the way those super secret behind the scene mechanics that most of us don't understand works. Not just for gaming and Critical Role, for a lot of other companies, which I'm sure we'll discuss as we get closer to 2024. 2024 is a big day, just like 2027 is, for some reason that I've mentioned 10,000 times, yet you still don't believe me. So yeah, obviously they're going to say whatever they're going to say. They are going to shuckle and jive us away from the question that everybody wants answered as well as they can. And considering how caffeinated he was, I'm very surprised how well Spencer handled himself. Because, it's obvious he's nervous. It's obvious he is in a tough place. But, he did a pretty good job. And he didn't mention inclusion or any of the other stuff, or diversity, or all the other things that people are upset about. He did a pretty good job. So well done, Spencer. Obviously, I'm not going to watch the whole video because it's like over an hour. There's a link down below. And the fate of Dagger Heart / Campaign 4 is still up in the air, because it's pretty obvious that they are waiting to see what happens in 2024. When will D&D 2024 come out? How will D&D 2024 come out? Will Wizards of the Coast / Hasbro be able to offer Darrington / Mercer enough to make them stay loyal? Which I have said repeatedly, there is absolutely no reason I can think of why they should maintain their loyalty to Wizards of the Coast, especially after how Wizards of the Coast has treated the gaming community lately, except for one. There is one thing that Hasbro can offer them that nobody else can offer them right now. I mean, sure, we do now have some Critical Role third-party toys and figures and stuff like that, but for that main market branding, only Hasbro can offer them Critical Role Monopoly, Critical Role Clue, right? Critical Role mass-produced action figures. That's the one thing Hasbro that can offer them, because Amazon doesn't have a merchandising. They buy other people's merchandising. Amazon carries Hasbro. Amazon doesn't have Amazon's own, board game. And sure, Darrington Press is making board games, but let's face it, they aren't selling worth shit. Well, Hasbro can just plug anything and connect it to Monopoly, and people will probably buy it. And if they made a Critical Role Monopoly, people would buy it, even if it's Monopoly. So that is the one thing Hasbro can offer them, but they haven't offered it yet. So yeah, that's where things stand. They're going to shuckle and jive and tell you, we're waiting, we're play testing, we're working on it. But what they're really saying is, let's see what happens in 2024 with D&D 6th edition. Because that's going to tell us where we want to place ourselves on the calendar for competing with 6th edition. Or, at the last minute, they may go, fuck, Hasbro, offered us enough money to make it worthwhile. So I guess we'll just push Dagger Heart to the side like they did Illuminated Worlds. Because let's face it, it's pretty obvious they've given up on Illuminated Worlds. And I seriously doubt they're going to carry that Candle Obscura flag much longer. Though Candle Obscura is getting more views than any of the other things that they're doing that's not Critical Role. Let's face it, guys, your fan base wants to see you doing very specific things. And of all the things you could have chosen, Victorian Call of Cthulhu Horror probably wasn't the best choice to sell Candle Obscura / Illuminated Worlds, but that's just my opinion. And as we know, I am an inexperienced, uneducated, toxic, white belt scrub DM with no sway, so take anything I say with a grain of salt. Make up your own mind. I've posted the links down below in the description if you want to check out daggerheart.org. As far as I know, I'm the first person to advertise for this site, so yeah. And while you're pressing links, why don't you press that subscribe link and give me a subscribe? Help me hit 2,000 subs by the end of the year, and we'll do something crazy. And don't forget also merch. I've got merch, including brand new merch coming out any day now. So check that out over in the Red Room. Until next time, I'm the OGGM. If you appreciate this, let me know. If you never want to hear me talk about Dagger Heart ever again, then get off my land, because we're going to keep talking about it.